Oh, all right. What's up, guys? So I know we had started the video earlier, and like it just was. We kind of talked about it when we were first getting started, and decided to just kind of do a different kind of video. To be honest, like I'm just not 100%. It's like not 100% back in it yet. So I figured we would just make a video out and just kind of go over this whole last year. Gonna hit on some mental health aspects because if anything, a year ago, I was damn near probably in the close to the worst mental health I had ever been. So a year ago, well, it was actually, this is what we're 2024. So in 2022, right, I compete right at the end of the year in November. I competed at a show. And it was a few weeks before that I found out that my dad had some sort of cancer, something off. But he seemed like super healthy, super fine, works out 5 times a week, lifts weights. He's 60 years old. It's like 6'4", 250, big guy. And so like that kind of hit. That's just kind of in the back of my head. And then do the show. And then in January, he got his actual diagnosis and prognosis. So he found out he had stage 4 colon, lung, and skin cancer. The colon cancer he probably had for years. That's where it started, and it spread to his lungs and skin. And like hearing that, it's shitty. Like I didn't know what to think. It's just like a shock. Kind of going along with this, I guess it was about 6 months before that I had quit drinking again for the 3rd time in my life. Me and alcohol don't have a great relationship, and I really like liquor, so hadn't been drinking. Found that out, and I won't lie, that was the first time. Like I wanted something because I couldn't deal with and process like the news. I didn't want to understand it. I didn't want to think about it, and I knew I couldn't. I didn't want to go back to alcohol. So honestly, I just started smoking a shit ton of weed, which is not good. Not anti-marijuana in excess. Yeah, that was just kind of how I coped for a few months. So like February, March, like you're hearing this news, and then they gave him, in February, they told him he had 3 to 6 months to live. That's probably, I don't know, worst news I ever heard in my life. It's I don't know, hard to explain. Like you don't, I think it took months to actually set in and process. And I'm not a big like pity person. I mean, I told people, like I wasn't like seeking attention, but like there's certain people I would talk to. There's only a couple people I really told, and one was a buddy of mine. Hadn't seen him in a while. Just remember, like even when you think your life's shitty, someone else has it worse. There's always someone else who has it worse. Like whatever you think's going on, somebody has it worse. And I remember I was about to tell this buddy of mine I hadn't seen in a while. Like he's asking what was going on. And he was a little bit off himself. And then, so I kind of asked him, like, hey, what's going on? He was like, well, he's like, this month, both of my parents got diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer and were given 3 to 6 months to live. That right there, like, really hit me. I'm like, okay, like, I'm sitting here like, yeah, I mean, it's sad. My dad's going to die. But to hear someone else talk about how both their parents within a couple weeks of each other get the same diagnosis and the same prognosis, like that I can't imagine. So yeah, just remember that regardless of how like shitty your life is, somebody does have it worse. There's always somebody who has it worse. So I'm going through like February, March, April. People kind of notice like I was high all the time. I was smoking at least an ounce a week, a little over an ounce, not counting edibles, and I always had one of the pins, the THC pins, hitting that, so a lot. I was never not high. I got to the point where like I would have to smoke a joint or two to get myself to the point where I thought I could get high. Not a good deal. And it was no different than me using alcohol or using any other substance. But I was using that kind of mask everything, how I felt. May rolled around, and it was the month of May was probably one of the worst months I had. A lot of stuff. There was a lot of things going on. I got slammed with some massive bills, thousands of dollars. I got screwed over in a couple. In business, there's risks, and I took some risks with people that I shouldn't have trusted, and that kind of backfired. Bank account got hacked on top of all that. There was just a bunch of stuff. And then so basically pretty much all my liquid cash was dried up. Like I had no money. The house we were renting, we were basically kind of in an unofficial lease because at the time I didn't pass a background check for other things we can talk about in another video. But so I couldn't really rent anywhere. I was kind of renting under the table, and the person we were renting the house from, we still had a couple more months to stay there. And they basically let us know they needed us out of the house ASAP with just a few weeks' notice. And that was just kind of, I think, the catalyst that just, I don't know, I don't want to say last straw, but it was like the catalyst that pushed me over the edge mentally. Like a week or two after, I think it was Memorial Day weekend, I had a complete mental breakdown. Just I lost it. It was bad. And I want to preface this with I no longer feel this way, anything like that. But at the time, I was at a suicidal point. I'd only been there one other time in my life. That was about 10 years ago or so when I first got out of active duty military. Just a lot of things going on. I was drinking a lot then, and I hadn't, just basically was interrupted about to attempt suicide. And I remember how that felt. And I was just back at that point. Didn't want to feel that way. I don't think I really was going to, because a big part that holds me back the couple times I've felt like that is I have a son, and I can't do that to him. And losing my own dad kind of also just puts that even more in perspective. But I think a lot of people don't want to say it, but and some people probably think I'm crazy for saying it, but there's a big difference between people that are truly suicidal, people that want attention, people that just are really depressed. A lot. But I mean, I was at the point, my mental health, I would think and plan about how I would kill myself. I would never do it. Couldn't do it. I would tell myself, I can't. I have a son. I can't do that. It would. And part of me, I really do, I couldn't do that knowing it was going to affect and hurt someone else. And as much as I, in that moment, wanted to, I knew I couldn't. But I just complete meltdown. I remember just sitting in the basement at the house we were renting, thinking about how we had just a week or two. We didn't have a place to go. I don't know. I basically just had to kind of come to my senses after a couple hours. I let somebody know. My girlfriend was there. She was just keeping an eye on me. But just a complete crash. That, it was then, I couldn't ignore the fact I needed help. Or that, I had a serious problem. But that's when it just became, I could hide it. I hid a lot. I would joke. A lot of people couldn't tell what I was thinking in my head. But when this instance happened, obviously my girlfriend saw it. So in my head, I'm well, fuck, someone else knows. There's no kind of hiding this issue. So her and I talked about, we were going through a very rough patch with a lot of things. We were very distant. I let myself get distant. I was not being the best version of myself at all. And I knew I needed to get help. I ended up seeking out some counseling. It wasn't the first time I'd done counseling in my life. A lot of people don't want to admit that they need it or that they do it, or they're too manly or too macho. No, dude, it helps so much. You've got to do it. So I was talking to a couple people. I am religious. So like, on one hand, I was doing not necessarily like religious counseling, but it was counseling with a really good friend of mine. It was a godly person, so they kind of put that aspect on it. I also did, I guess, like, would you say, just like secular counseling, just like mental health counseling. Trying to talk about a lot of things. It brought up just a lot of things I was feeling that I didn't want to face, especially with my dad. Him and I we weren't close by any means. I mean, I would say we were like good coworkers, but I got very distant when I was a teenager, and I'm trying to think how to put it, but I was the one who kind of like pushed away. I didn't like the guidance I was being given. Even though now that I look back, like, should have listened, but didn't want to, was rebellious, kind of, I don't want to say had resentment, but just different. We weren't close. And then when I got that news, like, I still saw my dad every week, talk, joke, like, there was no hard feelings. I just didn't feel like we were close. And then getting that news, I don't want to say I thought I wouldn't care as much as I did, but it just made me realize like how much more I cared. Things I wanted to say, conversations I wanted to have with him, things that, I ended up hearing from him that I needed to hear, and I didn't know I needed to hear, if that makes sense. But, and those were eased into like over the summer. June, a good friend let me rent his basement from him, so I was staying down there. June, July, like summer, and like I'm talking to people, I'm going to counseling. I started that more in like into June, July, just trying to work on things, but like I just could not beat. I had zero motivation through this time, and I had started prep at this time as well. It was, let's see, I guess like August when I was starting prep. And not that I was like trying to keep up appearances, but like I was paying for a coach, and like in all the other aspects of my life, like obviously I own my own business. I've got a supplement store, I've got a couple gyms, vending machine, just a lot of things like that going on. But I'm the boss, and I am my own accountability. But with like my coaching, that was someone else. So I don't like letting people down, and if I'm given something to do, I will get it done. I'm going to do it. So like coach is sending me the workouts, I'm doing that, I'm eating the food, I'm working out. I'm not happy. I'm miserable, but I'm at least going through the steps. But I would wake up, I'd still wake up at like 6 a.m, wasn't sleeping good, but I would lay in bed till 9:15. So like literally 3 hours, just Facebook, fucking around the internet, just staying busy. I wouldn't get up till I had to, because I had to be at the gym at 10, or the store at 10 to open the store. So get up at 9:15, shower, go to the store, watch the store. I would work out during the day when I was supposed to. And as soon as the store closed at 7, lock up. I was kind of high all day, but smoke again. Go back to the basement. I'm on the couch by 7:45, watching TV in the dark till midnight, go to bed, wake up at 6, lay in the dark for a couple more hours. Just a cycle of that. I wasn't promoting the business the way I should, being a good business owner. I wasn't just taking the proactive steps I normally did, social media, interacting with people, a lot of the things I did that were normal, because No one was making me do it. And business suffered on pretty much every aspect. But bodybuilding, like, it was progressing good. But like I said, I had accountability there. So like a big thing I came to realize later in the summer is the importance of just accountability in other areas of life. Because, yeah, I knew once a week I gotta send this dude pictures of me in my underwear, and he's gonna know if I'm bullshitting him or not, if I ate the food, if I didn't eat the food, if I ate the wrong food, if I didn't work out, filling out my check-in. Like, I had accountability, so I got that stuff done. Everything else in my life, I had zero accountability, and I just let it go. And looking back, I even started to realize, like, I think that was the first time I was just truly clinically depressed. It was like after that day where I kind of had like a mental breakdown in May, I wasn't suicidal anymore. I didn't have those thoughts at all, but I had zero drive, zero motivation. I didn't want to do anything. And it was confusing. It was weird. And now that I look back, I think that it was like textbook clinical depression, which I had never had before. Now, I've always had like intrusive thoughts. Like, I've had like the hard moments with like stuff going on, but never, and like seasonal depression. Like, I get that, especially in the winter. I got to take my vitamin D, helps if I tan, puts me in a better mood. My vitamin D is always way down. So like, I understand that. And I understand when the sun's not out for a while, yeah, I get mopey and stuff. But like, this was just different. It was all summer. I love riding my Harley. That's probably one of my favorite things to do. I rode maybe like 3 or 4 times last year. That was it. Like, just I didn't even ride. And I look back and I'm like, why the fuck did I not do the one thing I liked more than anything? I didn't want to do anything. And I started having those better conversations with my dad. And we're talking. He outlived his prognosis. They gave him 3 to 6 months to live. And the 6 months was up in June, July of last year. And I think in my head too, like, I always kept that as like a countdown. It's just a lot of shit in my head that I was trying to process, trying to think about. But like, it was getting better, but like, I just could not get my drive back. And I was still smoking weed, a lot of weed. I had cut back on it some, but like, I'd always smoke every night before bed, help me sleep, stuff like that. Coming up towards the end of the year, I did quit smoking in October. I just quit completely then, and I ended up, thankfully, so I used the VA because I was military, and I have an amazing VA doctor that I could have some pretty honest conversations about, and without putting too many things into words, because some people freak out when they hear, and I get it's their job, whatever. But I did end up getting on a very low dose SSRI, and I will say it did work. After like a couple weeks, I would genuinely wake up in a good mood. And granted, this is also midway through prep that I started taking those, and it really helped that fog kind of lift. And I'm not like a big advocate of, everyone getting on pills for every little thing, but like, I could not get out of it, and it did. It put me, and it was very low dose, but it put me in a good mood, and I think it got me to a place where I could actually start to mentally process everything, and I would say that's probably where I made the most progression in counseling and just coming to terms with everything. And I was on them for, I quit about a month ago. So about 4 months. So the way I look at it is like, I used it as a tool to get myself into a place mentally where I could address, I knew I was depressed. I could address the issues. I could sort things out, come to terms with things, have better conversations with counselors, things like that. And it truly did help. Yeah, there were side effects from it, like straight up, completely obliterated my sex drive, like zero. I think that was really the only downside I experienced on SSRIs. Like, I'm talking nothing. It's very weird, and it was hard because, like, you don't have that. But then on the other hand, I'm like, I'm waking up happy, but I wanted to be able to wake up happy without something. Year went on, coming up on my show and everything, going through prep. I feel like I started to get into a much better place mentally. After the show and everything like that was done, we did have a scare a couple weeks after my show, or no, before my show this last year, right at Thanksgiving, week of Thanksgiving. Thought my dad had a stroke or something, and ended up the cancer had spread to his brain as well. So he's got colon, lung, skin, and brain cancer. And like, we thought that was it. We're saying our goodbyes to the hospital, and by morning he's back to himself, normal. And 3 days later, he's brush hogging the field and taking care of the house. And you would never think the man had cancer. He didn't look like it. He didn't act like it. He didn't talk like it. Anything. So like, you're having those moments, but I felt myself getting like a little better prepared, if that's a word, because you're never going to be ready. But looking back at that time, accountability was the biggest thing I was lacking. Because I realized, like, with all the shit going on, my head being where it was, I stayed on track for my program. That's really like probably the most, in life in general, going to the gym and listening to your coach is not the biggest, most important part. The important part was I learned a lesson from it that I need accountability. So that kind of taught me that in other areas of my life, I needed accountability. So like, I wrote down things that I needed to get done every single week, like in the store, with the business, and I give them to my girlfriend. She holds me accountable with them. She knows. She's like, hey, he's got to do this. Or hey, I want to post so many times a week, or this, that, and the other. So I had that other kind of level of accountability. And then same with like the counselors, like that also helped, like knowing I'm going to talk to somebody. But it really did. Looking back, like I didn't realize it in the moment. I probably didn't realize it until after my show, because a lot of people are like, why are you still competing? Like, why this and that? And, I don't know, it was the only thing that like I could hang on to, that I felt like I had control of, and where someone else, like I said, had accountability over me. So that was probably a big thing I learned last year. Made it through the holidays and everything, and we're just at a year, and then the past 2 weeks, Dad started going downhill pretty bad. Like, you're getting nervous, but like, I felt like on my end, everything I needed to say, I had said. Me and him, we text more, we conversed more, we talked more. Like, it was good. I got to spend good time. Now, it's hard knowing you're going to lose someone, but knowing it and being able to do something different with that time. Like, I mean, I look back, I wasted half of that time getting high and sitting in the basement and doing nothing except, I mean, it wasn't even feeling sorry for myself. I just did not want to do anything. I had zero drive, period. But I'm very glad I got out of that. But then, like I said, about 2 weeks ago, things started getting worse. And then last Tuesday, he passed. And that's a completely different set of emotions. Like, I didn't know how I would react. I mean, it sucks. I think the first 2 days you're in shock. It happened at about 2 a.m. My brother, my sister, my mom were all there. Some family had come in that day to see him Monday. I don't know, the days were really good. Yeah, it was Monday. During the day, and we knew it was getting close. They increased all of his pain meds and things like that, so he was starting to become a lot more incoherent. He did have a very lucid morning. Like, he was very alert, very awake, kind of talking to everybody, and then the pain just hit him bad. They tripled his fentanyl dose. They had to give him liquid oxy, like I said, the fentanyl, and then morphine as well, throughout the day. But so he was just sleeping a lot. The last time, like, we talked, like, told him I loved him, and we hugged. That was the last time we had a conversation. The last words we said to each other. Later that day, he would kind of like wake up a little bit. He was in a hospital bed there in the house, and basically what happened was the tumors had taken over his lung, and what was left of his one lung that was clear, he was on oxygen, he only had one lung that had a little space left in it, was filling with fluid slowly. So I wait that night, and then I stayed awake, and everybody else was sleeping. And about 1:30, 1:45 in the morning, I could just tell something was different. His breathing, like close. So I jumped up, I woke my brother up, got my mom, my sister, and we made it in there for his last breaths. It doesn't seem real at first, because I think you're almost glad to see them not suffering, because his breathing was terrible. He was barely able to grunt in a little bit of air at a time. But just watching that last breath, and then watching him try to take another breath and be unable to, it like, you're glad to not hear it. You're glad to know they're not hurting, suffering. But then after about an hour, like, the hospice nurses get there and pronounce him dead. So when it starts sinking in more, and then when he's gone, that whole week is just kind of a whirlwind. My brother and my sister, they're all staying in there. I had, let's see, that was, yeah, so Tuesday morning, it was like 2 a.m, so about 5, 6 a.m, before everyone gets away from the house. I went home that afternoon, and yeah, I got in bed at 7 o'clock Tuesday night, and I didn't get out of bed till about 5 o'clock Wednesday night. I don't know, I probably slept 12, 16 hours off and on. I just did not want to get up. Thankfully, actually, my coach, he hit me up, kind of made me get up, go out and eat, because I hadn't eaten it all day. Went and ate a meal that night. It was good to kind of get out. Next day, I came back in, stayed with my mom the rest of the week. So there was always someone with her. Just kind of, me, my brother, and my sister were all staying there, helping with that. But man, I had no appetite, no drive, I think it's just like shock. I was eating like maybe a meal a day. And we had the funeral just 3 days ago. I think that's when it like really sets in, after the funeral. And it's hard, like, it sucks. It just sucks. Like, I don't want anyone to ever have to watch a loved one, even though it was like, I don't want to say peaceful and he was asleep, like, watching someone pass like that and hearing them for that whole day and a half, 2 days before, just struggling for the littlest bit of air, like, it'd fuck you up, and you've got to be ready for that. And if you're not on top of your mental health, like, I thank God I asked for help. I'm thankful I talked to people, got things out, because had I not been, I think you can get mentally prepared, but you're never ready, if that makes sense. Like, I had prepared myself mentally the best I could, but when it happens, you really don't know how you're going to feel or react. Because everyone feels a little bit different. But like, it was rough. It's been a rough week. So like, I didn't lift, obviously. And like, that's a big hard thing for me. A lot of people are like, oh, when I'm mad, I go lift. Like, lifting is like my enjoyment. Like, I love lifting. I look forward to it. I don't want to lift if I'm not in a good mood. And it's been like today, I just made myself go in. Like, Wednesdays we video, and I'm like, yeah, and like, just, I couldn't get my head in the right space. Even when we got over to the gym, like, I'm like, okay, and that's why I just said, like, forget it. Like, let's just kind of do a different kind of video. I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna do the lifts I'm supposed to do, move a little bit away, see how I feel, try to eat some more food, and then just kind of make a video about this. Like, the importance of taking care of yourself mentally. I'm no expert at it. I'm obviously not good at it. So obviously take proactive steps in your mental health, but I feel like there's a big stigma still especially with men, or even in like the bodybuilding world. Like, even though most of us were bullied and picked on and we still feel like we're like 120 pounds, like in our head, like we're big guys, whatever. People look at us like we're macho and there's that stigma around it all. But like, you're never too tough to take care of your mental health. Like, you do all this to take care of our bodies. We're eating the food, getting the macros in, taking our vitamins. Or like, what do you do for your head? Like, and for some people, lifting is what helps with that. It's not. I don't lift for my mental health at all whatsoever. Lifting is pleasure for me. It is not therapeutic per se, anything like that. But so yeah, we're at it's Wednesday now, so they passed about a week and a half ago. I still feel like I'm getting kind of out of it. I don't feel depressed, which I'm thankful for. I feel sad, like grieving. Those feelings are different than I think what I was feeling before. But I guess the whole point of this video I wanted to make just kind of started off weird, like I said, with us trying to lift. So I was like, screw it, we'll make this, talk about it. How it goes is how it goes. We'll throw some lifting clips in there, but I just really wanted to stress, because a lot of people didn't know all this, but like, ask for help, talk to people. You don't have to always feel the way that you do. Like right now, I am struggling with motivation again. Like I am in a different way. I think it's just still kind of like shock and grieving. Because like I said, the funeral was 4 days ago. That's when they close that casket, and that's the last time you're going to see somebody. It hits you different. It hits everyone different. But I forgot where I was going with that. Just staying on top of your mind. I've had a lot of good people. I do want to say this, like, thank you to everyone that messaged me, text me, called. I didn't answer my phone. I didn't answer phone calls all last week. I would reply to some people who text or message. There was a lot, and I want to make sure everyone knows, like, it wasn't bothersome. I wasn't annoyed. I wasn't irritated. I appreciated it a lot. It meant a lot. Even if I didn't reply. There's also one of those things, like, there's nothing you can say that makes it better. Like, am I okay? No. I mean, you shouldn't be okay after something like that. But what I want to make sure, and I've already brought up too, like, because I haven't really talked to, like, I've kind of not spaced away from counseling, but it hasn't been as frequent. But I want to make sure I get back on track as soon as I can. Because I mean, I feel before this happened 3 weeks ago, I would probably say I was in the best mental state I've ever been in my entire life. I was motivated, business was good, I was getting things done, I was productive, just everything in my life was flourishing. And I want to keep things going that way. I don't want to fall back into that rut where I look back and like, you know, what the hell was I doing? I wasted a whole summer. I was having to work extra jobs because I wasn't making enough money through business and like coaching, and was trying to recover from losing all that money, trying to also save to get a place, figure out where I could rent, find a new place, just all of those fun things. I don't want to get back into that rut again. I felt good, even though, like I said, I knew my dad was going to pass soon. It had been a year. Like, knew that you can still be in good mental health and grieve. You can be in good mental health and be sad. It's not necessarily depression. But don't let the stigmas get to you. If you need help, talk to someone. If you, I've had a lot of people kind of reach out to me through this and want to talk about things, and like, it makes me glad to feel like I'm a person I can do that with. But I feel like it's just not talked about openly enough, and I just kind of wanted to be an open book, transparent. That's been the last year of my life. In retrospect, was probably doing a show whenever I had all that stuff going on the best thing? No. But did it teach me like one of the biggest lessons I ever needed in life? Yes. I need accountability. I need accountability in life. I need accountability with my health. I need accountability with my mental health. All those things are super important. So like, going forward, and I apologize for today's like format of video. I know it's not crazy fun, exciting, and all that. And, we'll get back to some more fun things. But this week, I just basically wanted to talk like raw, unfiltered. Like I cut a whole lot out of this. Like I want you to see, like that I'm just being honest. But yeah, like I said, nothing can prepare you for like losing a loved one like that, but you can do your best to make sure that your mental health is in the best position it can be. So when you hit a crisis like that, it's not the end of the world. I wasn't taking care of my mental health at first. So whenever I had all those things, now like, was I really going to be homeless when I couldn't rent that place anymore? And like, did I really need to feel suicidal? Like I wanted to end it all? No, that was just the catalyst that pushed me into that mindset, because my mental health beforehand had just digressed. It had not been where it needed to be, and I wasn't taking care of myself. There was 3-4 months of like warning signs for myself, but I just was not self-aware enough to realize that until I hit that point again. But I guess that's all for today. Like I said, sorry for the downer note. We got a busy weekend this week, so we actually have a big powerlifting meet at the gym. We got 30-some lifters for that, so we got that going on this week. We're going to do a video there, so we'll put those clips up. That'll be exciting. That's all still coming together fine, so I'm excited for that. We'll try to get like a regular lifting good video next week, a little more entertaining, a little more exciting. If there's anything else you guys want to see or have questions about, or even if you have questions regarding this video today, drop your comments down in the box, questions, whatever. I do want to be a transparent person. So if you ask me something, I'm not going to lie. I will be upfront, honest about it. Sometimes like it's hard, but it's also just easier. I'm not pretending, not trying to hide anything. Like I'm sad, I'm down, I'm this, I'm that. Like I want to reflect that you have those days, and that shit happens, and it's not all. Remember, it's not all. What was it? Sunflowers and shit, or whatever we said in the other. I see. I can't. Daisies and whatever we said in that one video. It's not all that. Bright lights and fun stuff. It's nitty gritty. It's dark. It's hard. It hurts. But no, thank you guys for listening. And like I said, if you leave with anything, don't be afraid to take care of yourself. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Find someone you can trust. Talk to them about it. Open up. And you will be eternally grateful to yourself for doing that. But all right, you guys have a good one. We will see you next time. Oh, I guess I forgot I was going to throw the picture up. But I'll just throw it. Well, I guess we could have thrown it in the video, but a good friend of mine made me this about a couple days after he passed. And, I had thought about it. And it kind of goes back to when I was looking at things. I hadn't taken a picture with my dad in 20 plus years. I hadn't told my dad I loved him in probably 15 years. I was probably like 10, 11, 12 years old last time I said that. I hadn't hugged the man in probably 15 years. And I think that would have killed me. Had I lost him and not gotten those final words, not got to say those things, not got to hear those things from him, and not got to do those things, it would have torn me up. So another thing, don't take people for granted. Remember that. It could always be the last time you see somebody. You never know. But a good friend of mine had this picture printed out for me. Like I said, I just never thought about it. The last picture of me and my dad together, I'm probably 10 years old. So be grateful for the time you have with people. Appreciate them. Say the things you don't want to say. Say the things you're embarrassed to say. Say I love you. Give people a hug. You will be glad you did in the long run. All right. Oh, just cut it there. Oh, that was good.